Hey everyone, this is Motorized Pariah, welcoming you to the next video in my series, How Can I Play That? A series that's devoted to helping people with disabilities play certain video games, providing some tips and tricks and some tools that I use, and help to make your gameplay more accessible. Today, it's a bit nostalgic and close to my heart. We're going to review the video game Final Fantasy XIV Online. It's a really great game and actually pretty easy to make pretty accessible. So I thought we'd take a look, and we're going to start today with some of the basic accessibility features, some of the setup and HUD features that we can take a look at to make gameplay a bit more easy and accessible for a variety of disabilities. And then we're going to take a look at some basic commands and some setup and some macros, some voice command macros. So enjoy, and we'll see you in a bit. Welcome to Final Fantasy XIV Online, a massive multiplayer online RPG, or MMORG, as I like to say. Most people just call it an MMO. This is my character, Bounce and Versia, as a paladin. In this case, it's been Bounce has been my name in every Final Fantasy, so let's dive in. Check 5. Group attack. Command 4. Big down. Command 5. Command 9. Command 9. Okay, hold on. That might be a bit too much too soon. Let's take a pause and go back a bit. As with any game, these things take building up to. So here we are at an Aetheryte in the game, or a teleportation hub, and we're going to pull up our voice attack window. Voice attack, of course, is the software that I use for voice commands, and it's actually pretty versatile. You'll see right now I'm on my Windows interface. I actually use voice attack for some Windows commands as well, but here I'm going to select my FFXIV Paladin. I'm going to open up all of the command windows, and you can see, even just at this early stage, I have 117 voice commands, so that's quite a few. Let's take a look at the first one here, which is go home, and I wanted to just show some of the commands here. You'll see here that these are each mapped to a specific key that I already have bound in the game. Specifically, the letter T is a bit weird because I actually before was playing it with the letter T to turn left, which is a mouse cursor movement. Go home. So welcome to my lovely home in the lavender beds. I want to show you one command as I approach the door. Doo-doo. For those of you who have watched my other videos, you'll know that doo-doo is my basic interaction command that I use a lot, which is basically just a double tap on the main action key in this case. And before we go any further, I just want to remind everyone that I primarily move by using joystick with my Xbox controller. There I am, using my lips on the joystick to move about the game. So let's take a look at some of the in-game features. Setup features, starting with system commands, system configuration. You look here, obviously I play in windowed mode. I like to do that so that I can still access the rest of the software I have open. You see here under volume, I mean, it's personal preference. I turn my background music down. It's beautiful music, but I do find it a little distracting sometimes, especially with trying to use voice. Under graphic settings, I don't really make a lot of changes. Again, a lot of personal preferences here. If we go to our mouse settings, now this is a bit more important for me. You'll see that I have sensitivity turned all the way up to 100, so that helps me reduce the amount of movement I need to do. And then you can see here I could select to limit mouse into the gaming window. I don't do that. Again, that locks the cursor on the screen, which sort of limits my ability to travel to other programs as needed. Next, if we go to the gamepad tab, not too much I'm going to show here other than you can enable the gamepad which in my case I do because I use the Xbox controller for movement with the joystick. Next, if we go to our theme settings, we can see that there are different themes, of course, like many games. So we have our dark theme, that's the one I prefer for this game in particular. Not always the case, but for this one it is. And then there's also light the theme. So again, depends on your visual preference. Maybe you prefer dark font on white background. There's a blue one with white. And then finally there's a sort of a new age blue or a lighter blue. There we go. Finally, let's take a look at the actual accessibility tab. There aren't a whole lot of options, but they are good. There's visual alerts, which we'll take a look at in a moment, actually in action. And then there's color filtering below if you have any certain visual impairments or any spectrum that you don't see well. But let's go take a look at visual alerts. Teleport. So we're just going to go to a low level area just to demonstrate this effect. Let's go find some poor saps. Target. Unfortunately, these guys are so low level that everything I do is going to kill them. But let's watch the waves when we do start to attack coming out from the side of the screen. You see them on the right and left side as I get attacked. They sort of look like audio waves coming up. These are pretty small though, so let's turn up the intensity a little bit. Go back to our accessibility settings and crank this up to 100%. That way it really comes in large when it does happen after we press apply. If we go over here on the right, you'll see an explosion went off. A lot of lines showing. So this really is a great tool for somebody with hearing impairment, deaf and hard of hearing. To see those lines show up, you can see a lot of large lines. But let's get rid of this guy because we're over it. But what a great tool to have. So here we are back at my humble abode. Let's take a look at some character configurations. Starting with the movement type. You can see there's standard and legacy. And I have it on legacy for myself, which is your basic north, east, south, west. But let's take a look at what standard is for those who might prefer this. I'll just select it here from the menu. And then once we start the movement, we'll see the difference. So unlike legacy, pushing forward is fine, but when you go left and right, it does a strafe action and reverse a slow walk back. Not my personal preference. I prefer, like I said, legacy, which is more traditional. And I just want to show you one more thing under the general tab, and that's camera speed. So I have everything turned up full. Again, helps to reduce some of the movement I have to do with the mouse. And within the target tab, we'll see that you can have different ways to target enemies. Again, personal preference. Depends on your playstyle, depends on what you tools you're using. This game actually comes with a lot of targeting features we're not going to get into. There are lots of videos online to learn about the various features. But again, it depends on your playstyle and, your movement. And the final option in the general tab is mouse. So you can see that you can click on yourself if you wanted to use a spell on yourself. I don't do that because it just defaults to self. And then there's a few other options finally with enable clicking on the field to remove the target from the enemy, which I do. That way I don't have to specifically deselect an enemy or choose another one. Within the UI settings, I just want to take a look at the help fly out. So I like to enable this. Even though I've been playing the game for a long time, it sort of has a fly out. I do like to have mine stationary though. You can see mine on the bottom right corner. You can move it wherever you want. You can put it with the mouse, but I found that covered things up, so I don't like that. And the final thing I want to look at is in our hotbar settings, and it's all about display timers. So when you're using an action or casting a spell, that has a cooldown period. So right now it's set on bottom left, but I'm going to change it to centered, and let's see what happens. We're going to cast that, and you see that in the middle of that icon is a nice big number in the middle, whereas if we change it to bottom left, it's a smaller number. And you know what, to be honest, I actually think I prefer the big number in the middle. It's a little easier to see amidst all the chaos. Okay, so let's move away from system config and let's start looking at some voice command options. So we're going to open up our voice command window, our profile selector, which we see is at FFXIV Paladin, and then we're going to open our command list. And again, lots of commands here, but the first one I want to look at is auto run, something that I use almost in every game, helps with reducing movement. Now, Final Fantasy actually comes with an auto-run key, which is the R key as I have it mapped. So that's how I have it set right now. But of course, as in previous games, you could also have auto-run to hold down the up key, which in this case would be the W for WADs. But I prefer just leaving it as the auto-run key as they have it. The next command I want to look at is teleport, which is something you'll do frequently in this game. And I actually want to show the difference between an old method and a new method. So you'll see here when I first wrote this a while ago, I literally was doing like the control key down, putting a pause in, pressing the T key, which brings up the teleport menu, which was pretty arduous. But there's actually another way to do it. With voice attack, you can actually do a modifier key like control and the letter that you want as one stroke. So if we change that to control T, we don't need all of the rest of this, so we can just delete it. So now if we say the command teleport, it brings up our window and we can choose the location that we want to go. Take a quick look at some camera movement controls. So you can use the mouse on screen if you want to rotate as you will, but if that's difficult, you can also use a voice command. So here I have it for the left key. I have it set at 0.2 seconds, which is about a 45-degree turn. So you can do that obviously up, down, left, right, whichever way you choose. So that about does it for our basic commands for today. Just want to look at one final one called leave game, which is basically a series of commands that just exit back to the desktop, which I use on obviously when I want to end the game, instead of going through all the menu options, I just say leave game. Leave game. So there you have it, a really introductory look at some of the basic accessibility features and some basic commands. Next time, we're going to take a look at some of the action commands and actually get into more of the battle sequences. There's a lot of commands in this game, and of course, depending on what class you are, opens up a ton more options. Until then, hey, remember, if I can play it, you can play it.